Hi, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist. And it's nice to see you again, Susan. How you
So
doing?
nice to see you, Lisa. I'm doing wonderful. My name's Susan Capurso. I'm an end-of-life doula and legacy specialist. So today's topic's a little bit different. At the end of life, there's many different ailments and diseases that our bodies succumb to. And dementia is one of them. And so we're hearing about it more and more every day. So many millions of more people are coming. They didn't have a title for it, I believe, years and years ago, right? So now we put a title on it, and we're seeing so many more cases of people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And mostly, caregivers. I think of the caregivers because they're going to find it very challenging and emotional, challenging to provide emotional comfort, number one, and challenging to provide spiritual comfort to a person who has severe memory loss as dementia progresses. So there are certain things because sensory connections are still there and can benefit people with even advanced stages of dementia, such as touch and massage and soothing
Mhm.
sound. So we'll be talking more about that to simply be present and bring a calming spirit into their lives. So today, Lisa and I want to talk a little bit about it's a difficult discussion, right?
Very.
Because we're afraid and we're unaware and everybody's looking to learn more. So we're hoping to bring you a few ideas today. If you have a loved one who's traveling on an end of life journey with dementia, there are hurdles. There are hurdles to climb and extra emotions along with confusion, sadness, and grief. I'm talking for the caregiver throughout the battle, not only at the end. So we'll talk a little bit about both. But we're hoping that, as we discuss this important topic today, that you'll be able to learn a little bit more along the way.
Yeah,
So, Lisa, I know that you have a very, very good, loving friend right now, who's in her 90s, I believe,
she
correct?
is. She's
Yeah, and you
96.
96.
Yes, and
God,
she says she'd still like to live a long life. She's already led a long life. This is my mom's best friend. So she's known me since high school. So we're talking a lot of years. And since my mom's been gone since, let's see, 23 years ago, this woman has been more than a friend, but she's not my biological link. So she calls me her special friend. She has no daughters, she has two sons. So I have committed to seeing her every Friday, and I go to New York City to visit her. It is it has been quite, I mean, I'd say through the 23 years, it's been quite a journey. And we're at more towards the end of the journey, of course, at this point. So I've watched the changes. I've seen the things we used to go shopping. She had her favorite places. We used to go to certain farm stands, which she loved. There were routines that she loved to do. And those were things that we always did. And I've watched the decline and the change in all the physical, and now we're talking about the emotional and the mental. So starts with some dementia where she can't remember things and then moves to differences in personality. So I've seen her angry when somebody wants her to do something, but she's upset she can't do it or doesn't want to do it, feels like her independence is being taken away. I've watched her confusion. What is this? What's happening? Just totally confused. I've watched her with all kinds of emotions. She's frustrated. She's upset. She obviously can't take care of herself anymore. When her husband died, that meant that she needed more care. All of that has impacted everything that she does, every how she operates in her life, in her world. And I've watched her decline. And I grieve who she was. I grieve her her difficulty in functioning. Um, I watch how upset she is over things that she can't understand. Obviously people have taken over her financial and the other things that she used to do. She can't do any of those things anymore. Um, and it's very hard. It's very hard for her. It's very hard for the people who love her. Um, she wants to live, but she knows she says to me, I don't know who I am anymore. That's what she says to me. Um,
Yeah. It's
and so,
heartbreaking.
and so the best thing that I've learned for me is that I used to be an early childhood educator, and everything that I do, like what I tell her and how I'm doing it and what's happening, is how I talk to a child. I explain things to her. I tell her what's going to happen. Then I repeat it. This is why we're doing this. And sometimes she doesn't even understand what I'm talking about. But I just try to make sure that she has some control or she understands something. It's very hard. I'm going to help you with this. We're going to try and do this. I just break everything down in pieces to her. So
Yeah.
she has some control, or she feels like she has some control, because she doesn't have a lot of control over many things in her life. And it
Yeah.
is very hard, especially, and I'm not even a relative, but it's very hard to watch somebody you love and somebody you care about disappear in front of your eyes. And that's how it is. That's how it
Yeah.
feels with her.
It's so hard, for caregivers and family members alike, and especially during the final stages of dementia. And these can include now immobility at all, right?
Yeah.
Difficulty speaking at all, difficulty eating and swallowing now. And some of these problems, really all of these things that I just said, are um, are pertinent to people that don't have dementia as well, right? There's some of the same things that are happening at the end of your life. And you think it might be different, but it's another ailment, it's another disease, it's something else, and our bodies do all start to shut down in the same way. So, in the research that I know you said that you've done, Lisa, before today, what kept popping up? More and more information about being the caregiver,
Yes. And
right?
nurturing your own needs, because this takes a lot out of you. A lot.
Huh.
I come
Stress,
home drained.
fatigue,
Every week I come home drained because I've given myself as totally as I can to be whatever she needs.
being
And
100% present.
that's right. That's right. I turn off my
And
phone.
but saying that, Lisa, I want to also say that in that respect, it might be a little bit easier for you than for the caregiver at home that's with somebody 7 days a week,
Oh yeah.
right? Because you can be 100% present on purpose and
Yes.
in the moment because you're traveling a long time by train and to get to her apartment. That's a
That's,
big trip for you
it
to
is a big
take,
trip. It's a big trip.
right? So then you can leave when you're there. I could see how you're 100% present and focused and detailed in everything that you do with her versus the person, the caregiver who's at home 7 days a week. It's hard to do that, I
So
would
the
think.
way they've worked it, and this is important because you got to figure out what works. There are three caregivers and they all come from an agency. She is absolutely so lucky. They are all very devoted people, but they change their shifts so that each of them has a part of this, and that's worked for this system here. And of course, on Sundays, her family comes as well. Sometimes during the week, her family comes. Her two sons and all. But at least there's a number of people that are around her, and
Yeah.
that can. But she gets really angry at them. She's annoyed at them. She she's frustrated. She's frustrated. And it's not their fault, obviously, but it's hard. It's I know I couldn't be a caregiver like that. I could not, for somebody who I didn't know. It's one thing to do something for the people who you love and care about and all, but now you've got people who are quote strangers. And for some people that might be easier because there's no personal part of this. But for
Right.
others to give like that, very, and to walk out when
Overwhelming.
she's getting angry at you and saying, I don't need you, I don't need this, I don't want you, I mean, like a child, who's just angry and frustrated and just doesn't know how to help herself. Very, very hard.
So
Very.
I think as time progresses, what I especially hear you saying is maybe shorter shifts for caregivers, right?
Yes.
Because I can see how depression can be a part of this.
Yes.
So you really need to be able to care and nurture yourself,
Yes.
during this time.
Everything I read about calls for you being honest with yourself and what you can do. And if it's a family, you share, information, you share situations, and you share time, and you nurture that. And for caregivers, who are independent, yeah, the shifts are really helpful. And as long as they're communicating with each other, one person needs to know what the other person did or what happened.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
important because you have to be on the same page with everybody.
And and family members, even if the person is minimal on their speaking and on their responses to you, still go.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
go. You're
She knows.
alleviating
That's
somebody
right.
else's time,
That's right.
So still go, still help. It might be frustrating for you. My very good friends who passed away 2 weeks apart, they were both 99. So, and he was mentally healthy till the day he passed.
Wow.
Unfortunately, she had dementia that got really worse over the years, probably for about 15 to 20 years it started. Um, so I remember, and I'd go over all the time and make sure they had flowers on their table and visit with them and sit and watch wrestling at night. I think I've told that story before. They both loved wrestling. And she knew their names up to a very late
Uh,
stage. But I remember one of the last times going there, and it was the most I'd seen her talk in a while. But she was talking about her keys. She couldn't find her keys and she had to go somewhere. And she repeated that. Where are my keys? My keys are lost. I can't find my keys. 500 times in the time that I was spending over there. And it does get frustrating.
mhm.
It gets frustrating. You really need patience. You need love in your heart. And instead of getting frustrated about the keys, look for the keys.
Right. Right. That's right.
Look at the couch. Look in different areas.
Right.
Discuss the keys.
Yes. Yes.
Where can we
Yes.
go? And she wasn't answering many more other questions. It was just that concern,
Yes.
So, but I felt even though I've never taken care of full time somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, I felt the frustration, in me, like
Yes.
thinking of a caregiver that spends 40 hours a week or
Yeah.
more with their person, how frustrating, and that can take its toll.
Yes.
Our times are important,
Yeah. I
right?
find that touch, you mentioned touch before, when I
Mhm.
touch her hands or when I
Yeah,
hug her or when I just kiss her on the head because she likes that, like right here on the cupola, she loves that. And she like melts. I see her and I bring her flowers every week because she loves flowers. And I change the other flowers and I make sure that there's water and fresh everything and I cut them and stuff and I show them to her and I show her how beautiful they are. She These are things that she still holds in her heart as
right,
important. And so you have to really be at their level of importance in their
right.
world. That's what you have to be in their world. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I started to mention the tone and how you speak to them. Be careful.
Oh,
Don't get angry, and because you want to get angry. That's the first response, I think, for anybody. But, keep your tone soft and gentle. And the rest of the people, if there are other people in the house as well, teach them, educate them a little bit, not to be frustrated, to have patience and to speak softly and more gently, especially during these later stages.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to mention that dementia is really sort of a preliminary to Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's really is that complete change of personality. They don't know anybody. They might be able to recognize if you took out an old album. They might be able to see people again or say something, but this sense of reality and in touch with the present is very difficult for them. If you remind them sometimes of the past, they may have stories, they may relate things as if they're happening now, but there is a confusion about the present and past and all. Very confusing. So, and it's a physical thing. I mean, we all know there's a physical thing that changes in the brain. They see it, they can measure it. It's actually the brain cells that change and all. So it is a disease. And so if you look at it that way, maybe people can relate to it better, or maybe understand and maybe be more compassionate, because it is very frustrating and very upsetting to see a loved one change like that and not function and be like, where. It's so much easier for people. Oh, they have this physical problem, or they can't move anymore, but now we're talking about the mental health of somebody, and that's really hard for people to understand and accept.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about also the space. Think about the environment around you. And this is one of the things we talk about with just an average person who's going through the transition stage and at the end of their life. But it's even more important here. Don't think it's not because they have dementia, they're in another world, or no. You have to bring in some of these important steps. And when I say, you know, we talked about the sensory a little bit when I opened the video just now. Think of calming music,
Yes.
think of calming nature sounds, right? And YouTube is wonderful for this. Or if you have Alexa in the house, they're so inexpensive these days, right? I've learned to come to love my Alexa. Thank you,
I'm
Lisa,
glad.
very much.
You're
Sent me a
welcome.
gift when I didn't even understand who Alexa was. Um, but you can ask Alexa to play nature sounds,
Yeah.
or soothing music, or maybe figure out or ask somebody, or you may know what kind of music they really loved, earlier, prior to this happening, and play some of it. And it doesn't have to be loud rock and roll, you know, that kind of music, but play soft music, gentle, calming, nurturing music or sounds. And without even words, that can have a true effect on your person. But it takes you to think outside of the box and think of these things.
Yes.
Even nice smells. Nice smells. If maybe they were a candle lover and they loved vanilla all their lives. And if you're just a caregiver and not a family member, talk to the family member. Ask some of these questions. Because wow, light a candle or two of the beach, or vanilla, something that they loved, and that's going to help calm them and bring in less anxiety towards these end of life stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, some of the even I've let her watch some videos from way back, and she remembers certain things about, like, my mom's birthday party. My mom had a surprise 70th birthday party, and I had 98 people there. And she sees herself and her husband there. And I mention again and remind her again, this was my mom's birthday party, and look what a great time you had. So sometimes those things just bring back, bring you back to a wonderful time, and a happy time for her, and pictures, if she can remember any of the pictures, and
Right, photo
point out
albums,
people.
even if they're not responding
Yeah.
or recognizing,
Yeah.
how do you know? How do we really
True.
know
It's true.
what they are looking at and thinking of,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
looking at some of these photos? I know that if I were in those stages or in those shoes, I would hope that somebody would do some of these things for me.
Me too.
right? Because we don't know. So you have to just try and bring in all the soothing measures, moving them, whether if you're the caregiver, you know that this is, if you're not the caregiver though, make sure they're, even if they're sitting up still, they're being moved. The body has to be moved a little bit.
Yes.
And their arms and legs are being supported, whether it's in their bed or in a chair, have things, think of yourself and these different comfort measures.
Yeah. And safety. Safety is really important. You look around and just make sure everything looks safe for
Hmm.
the person and all. Because, I mean, she wants to stay home. So, they modified a lot of things for the home to still
Right.
be
There
able
are a
to
lot of
stay.
things you can do. We have a good video on that.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, with 101 Mobility, if you look back in the videos. And she mentions a lot of the different changes that you can make in a home if you're at home, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Um,
also, as a person gets less mobile, it's important to remember that you may not be the strongest person in the world, and it might get more difficult to handle them sitting up or changing their position,
yeah.
and you may need to call in for that extra help to do that
Yep.
during that
Yep.
time.
Yep.
And recognize that it's hard for me and I just can't do it. But these things are important. Yeah, I mean, you can easily pull out your back or your knees,
That's right.
thinking that you're still 25 and can do anything, right?
That's right. That's right. The biggest thing is really making sure that you are focused on that person and that you take care of yourself, that you realize that there are many things that you can't change and you're going to have to accept that, that person's there, they're just not the same as they were before, that whatever you felt for that person, I mean, I still love her. I'll always love her, but she's just different, and I want her to still, have whatever quality or whatever enjoyment she can have, whatever that is for her.
Exactly. I thought about reading too. So, maybe if they were a reader, okay, this is a really especially good time to find out what they like to read about. If it's love story, trash, smut, let it be. If it's spiritual Christian books or the Bible, let that be.
Yes.
It could be crime stories, and if that's the case, get a book and read to them.
Yep. Yep.
Read to them.
Yeah.
You'll be educating yourself too.
Sure. Sure. Great suggestions. And
Right.
sometimes she just wants to look at the TV and I just sit with her and that makes her feel mellow.
Just
So,
being present.
yeah, just
Just
being
being present.
present. That's right.
Exactly. And if you do have a hospice or palliative team, they can ask questions because they can give you some good suggestions as well.
Yes.
You may not be able to go anywhere now at this point or take them out of the house or fill their bucket list anymore, but you can think outside of the box to just incorporate some of the things that they loved,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I hope that helped a little bit,
I hope so too.
right?
It is very challenging, but just keep in mind the love that you have for that person.
Yes,
That has to be above everything else.
that's right. That's right. And also take advantage of the internet.
Hmm.
Some people don't do that, but take advantage and ask your questions right in the search engine.
There's
You
so many
know,
resources. Oh my goodness. Just you look that
yeah,
up and there's so many associations and all kinds of ideas and like you said, resources. It's incredible how much is out there.
yeah, and especially for support because now is the time that you need it more than ever. So
Yes.
they have the, Alzheimer's Association.
Yes.
They have all kinds of dementia support groups for caregivers and virtual now too, as well.
Yes.
But they offer these resources free,
They do.
right?
They do.
ADRC on Long Island, they offer their services for free to family members and caregivers. So make sure you're looking for those things. Be a little bit proactive and you can
Yes.
learn so much from them, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
very much so. So, Susan, why don't you share some of the things that you've been up to lately? I know you've been doing a bunch of different things.
Ah, I've always done a little of this and a little of that, but
Yes.
always it has to do with end of life. So I won't go into it in too much detail, but currently I have actually started collaborating with Tully Law Group, which has been a really fun endeavor. And we've been able to bring a legacy service and an end of life service into his law firm.
Wonderful.
So that's been really special, being able to help him out 2 days a week. And as far as I'm just still doing other things, I have a few clients now. I do some bereavement sessions with them, three block of time. So I offer 3 sessions, so we don't have to continue all year if you don't want to, but it's for as long as you need. And we do that over Zoom to make it easier and intimate at home. It's a one-on-one interaction.
Nice.
And I have the healing gardens and I do the funeral celebrant work and a number of things. But reach out to me anytime if you have questions about anything. And if I can't help you, I can send you to the right direction, right? Lisa and I are always referring people and
We are.
resources
We
when you
are.
contact us.
We are. Wonderful.
And Lisa, let's hear about your exciting venture.
Well, let me just relate one thing to what we do. I have a lot of friends who are going through different diseases and things. And, one dear friend who lost her husband, I guess, about 4 months ago, and trying to support her and making sure that she feels like she's not been abandoned by her friends or by couples or whatever. That's very important. And I want to say that again because we talk about it on our videos. But I call her every day to say, hi, I'm thinking of you. Don't specifically ask, how are you? I'm thinking of you because I don't need to do that. So that's really important. And as I said, a lot of my friends are going through different diseases and different things. We're getting older and we have different, physical things that are going on. So I don't have anything formal in this regard, but I'm always open. We just had a widowers party and everybody was talking about, how they feel and what's been going on in their lives and all. So I always hand out our cards because I think this channel is just an incredible opportunity for people. We're so honest and we deal with so many different topics that are people don't talk about, and we do.
Yeah,
So I'm really proud of the work that we've done, Susan. Almost
thank you.
97
I am as
videos or
well.
so in 2.5 years. So, that's really been
It's a
my
good thing.
focus.
So make sure you like and share our videos to help us get our momentum going as far
Yes,
as the people who follow us.
yes,
If there's
absolutely.
anything you need and we can help, please reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Okay,
Lisa.
take care.
Bye.
Bye.